I had heard the words before, gently guiding me to a deeper place within. The cadence was hypnotic, the rhythm accentuated by the power of her words. The meditation was meant to connect me with my inner creative self. I'm at a writing workshop in Costa Rica in February this year in the blue zone. Costa Rica is one of the 5 blue zones of the world, which means people live a long time, over 100 years. So this is my 10th year going to Costa Rica, and this particular time in 2022, I was at a writing workshop. And I've taken several different writing workshops over the years in Costa Rica and in Italy. And every teacher has a different way of tapping and helping the students move deeper into themselves so they can write. So this particular teacher, she connected with her students through meditation. She would do a meditative, guided meditation so that we could kind of tap into our own creativity. So it was a way of leading us into our deeper subconscious by doing this meditation. On the first day, because this is a whole week of writing where we get prompts and then we're supposed to just spontaneously write. On the first day, her gentle cadence, demeanor, her powerful words opened me up and allowed me to tap into my inner creativity. It worked, and I loved it. It was wonderful. I'm in this beautiful, what I call rustic elegance of a retreat center in the jungle of Costa Rica on the West Coast, surrounded by lush vegetation, a breeze, the Pacific Ocean is just down the mountain. There are monkeys in the trees. It's just a beautiful place. And this guided meditation just kind of opened me up, and I was able to write. The next day, I hear the same words, and I'm surprised. I thought we would get a different meditation, but I was okay with it. They were nice. She did a good job. It still tapped me into my creative self. But then the third day, she did the same thing. She used the exact same words to get us ready. But somehow now the power, for me, it lost its mark. So I'm thinking, it's the same thing. I've heard this before. So my mind wandered and I floated away and I was just not there. I was, looking someplace else. I went someplace else in my head. So here, she had taken the time to do this, and I was not in the moment. What I was doing was looking to see how on earth she was doing this. She had memorized to the letter the meditation, including where to add emphasis and where to adjust for tone and volume. I was so disappointed. This is not what I expected. I expect to be moved again with some new words, with some new insights. And here she is doing the same thing. It was a performance, and I was just sitting there thinking, it isn't good. She isn't good. I was starting to judge her. And I was longing for that discovery that I had felt on the first time. And so I'm sitting there in judgment. I'm sitting there in disappointment. I'm getting kind of frustrated and angry at her. How dare does she not move me like she did the first day? I paid big bucks for this. No, she's supposed to do what I expect her to do. How easily I went from an openness a couple of days before to judgment and disappointment and anger and the moment. It wasn't meeting my expectations. So expectation, what does that word mean? It's defined as believing that something is going to happen or that something should happen in the future or in the moment. It assumes a level of control that we don't actually have in the situation. In our heads, we are projecting this particular scenario that should be going on. And the people around us, so the environment, should be kind of in tune with us. They should be doing our bidding. Now, it's in our heads, mind you. We haven't said a word to anybody. But we have this script, this play in our head of what it should be like. And when the world does not act according to our plan, we get upset with the world. We get upset with the other person. We feel disappointment that the expectation wasn't met. So expectations are rigid. They do not allow for flexibility. They do not allow for the circumstances. They're heavy on shoulds. She should do this. He should do that. This is what I am expecting. Why aren't they doing it the way I want it to? So there's control and rigidity and shoulds in expectation. So, back to my writing workshop. I was sitting there in this beautiful place, and my unmet expectation had morphed into judging the other person to meet what I needed, no, what I demanded from them. I projected my unspoken wants and then damned the teacher for not meeting them. Unmet expectations can kill a beautiful moment. Unmet expectations can leave us disappointed and angry. Now, it is us who feels the disappointment and anger. The world just moves on. The world is doing its thing. We are projecting into the world the way we want this movie, this scenario, this situation to unfold. So it's something we have in our heads. So whether we are aware of it or not, we are setting expectations of ourselves and others all the time. Often, these are unconscious. We're not even aware that we're projecting expectations to the situation. We don't even recognize that we're spinning a story in our heads about what should be happening, or what the world should be like, or what others should be doing. We impose our view of the world as it needs to be in the moment. And when it is not played out, we blame the world, we blame the other. So expectations are about control. The control of others' behavior, the control of the situation. Yet we really don't have a whole lot of control. We think we do, but we don't. So we are projecting their shoulds or what should happen, of the outcomes, and they're beyond our control of it. We make ourselves the center of the universe. The world should be moving on according to our plan. So we throw these expectations on others. We say in our heads what they should act, how they should act, what they should say, how they should feel, and then we damn them if they don't. We see our anger and our disappointment as their fault. So think about that. This is something that you have in your head. This is something you are creating. Yet we are blaming the outside of us, the people out there, for not creating the world we want to create. Now you may be thinking, well, I don't have expectations all the time. Well, you do. You just haven't examined them. Or you say, well, I've heard this. Some people say that we shouldn't expect anything, If I don't have any expectations, that way I can't be disappointed, I just don't expect anything, so I won't be disappointed. I hear this in my classes, as Dora always said, I've been teaching in workshops for over 50 years, and sometimes what do you expect to become? Oh, I don't have any expectations. But then something happens, oh, It's like I expected this. When what is played in your head that you're not even conscious of does not play out in reality, you go, "Oh, I'm disappointed," or "That was a surprise." So even different, whatever, it's different. We recognize our expectations when they're not met. Does that make sense to you? You kind of go, "Oh yeah, I wasn't expecting that." So we're constantly deciding how the world should be. Now, that's okay, because expectations are like a warm linus blanket. It gives us comfort. It gives us predictability. If we can't decide what's going to happen next, we feel safe. If we can feel how we're going to feel and decide what's coming up ahead of the unknown, because the future's unknown, but when we project the future, then we feel comfort, we feel safe, we feel like, okay, I can continue in the mode that I'm in. Oops, that's not what I expected. So whether we give a voice or not, whether we actually voice our expectations, because sometimes people say, well, okay, I tell people what I want or how I like to see things happen. But then, they have a choice. They decide not to do it that way. So you have unmet expectations, even when they're voiced. So voice or unvoiced, you are projecting expectations, and they're going to be unmet sometimes. So what can you do to still feel safe and comfort and not have anger or disappointment in it? Because the expectations are going to be there, no matter what. How can we restore the present moment to joy, to feel love, to feel wonder in the face of unmet expectations? Because that's what we want to do. So let me go back to my writing workshop. When I realized that I was not in the moment, not experiencing the moment, judging the moment, wanting it to be different, when I was letting the unmet expectation kind of take over disappointment and anger, it ruined the day, it ruined the moment. And then I realized, I have an epiphany, like, wait a minute, I'm in this beautiful setting, I paid to be in this workshop so that I could do some creative writing. And I'm sitting here upset. Now, there's something wrong with this picture. This epiphany, something had to change. How could I restore that moment to its fullness? And I decided to be in gratitude, to see what is already in front of me, to feel what I've already experienced or about to experience. So I started saying, okay, let me shift my thoughts. Let me be in gratitude and thank the teacher for the words that did stir my soul 2 days ago. I can allow them to stir me now, even though I've heard them before. Why am I preventing this from happening? I can allow it to happen. I can allow the gift of going deeper into myself, to find my truth, to find my voice. I can still make that happen. I'm the only one who's stopping that from happening, because I'm sitting here in judgment. So shift the way I look at things. Wayne Dyer has been known to say, when you shift, when you look at things differently, when you change the way you look at things, the things you look at change. So I had the same reality, but now I was really looking at the reality. It's a beautiful place. There are stirring words. The teacher really wants us to come be creative. I can be in gratitude for all of that. So here's 5 steps you can take to go from resentment, disappointment, anger into gratitude. The first one is become aware of the outcome that you're projecting into the moment. All of this is about self-awareness. So what is the movie that I'm playing out in my head? What shoulds are showing up? Let me give you an example, a personal example. In the last century, as I like to say, back in the 90s, I was doing some diversity training with a large corporation out west where I traveled to 14 different states, teaching the employees around diversity. And I was very fortunate. We always worked with there were 4 trainers doing these workshops. They were very intense. They were 3 days, 10 hours a day. So very intense. We had 40 people in every class, so we had 4 instructors, 4 facilitators teaching this, but they were not always the same 4. The company had hired maybe 10 different consultants, and they mixed us up so that it would be diverse in the workshop. One time, one of the 4 instructors was a woman named Cheryl, and I had heard from other facilitators how great she was. So I had this expectation of this wonderful facilitator that I could learn all kinds of things from, because we were going to be working together for like 40 hours, so that would be so wonderful. So we start doing stuff, we're doing our thing, and at the end of every day, we always debriefed. How did the class go? What did you do well? What can we improve upon? So we always had like an hour, 2 hours debriefing at the end of 9 hours of work. It's very intense. So as we're debriefing, one of the things that I said is, Cheryl, I had heard so much about you. I really had expected all kinds of things that basically, that she wasn't so hot. I didn't say it in those words, but I was kind of like, I didn't quite get what I thought I was going to get. I can't remember the words that I said, but I know that I basically said that, she disappointed me. She wasn't this great facilitator. She was okay, she was good, but I had put her on some pedestal sometimes. And she looked at me and she says, I'm not here to meet other people's expectations. Wow, okay, kind of all right. So, that's what we do. We kind of project in the movie. We give it an elaborate, scenario. I'll give you another example. 4 months to the day, I broke my left hip. That's why I'm having trouble walking. But I'm not in a wheelchair, but I broke my hip. I was in Portland, Oregon, at my granddaughter's college graduation from Reed College. My daughter was here last week. It was her daughter. So we were out there for 4 or 5 days in the beautiful Portland. We were at Airbnb. We had attended all the activities and everything. And on the very last day that we were going to fly out, because they live in California and I live here in Florida, the college graduation was in Portland. I am going down the steps, very steep steps, of where my other granddaughter and I were sleeping in the loft. And I'm going down very steep steps, about 4:30 in the morning, because I was going to go to the bathroom. So I'm going down the steps. And they're all so narrow, they were not, So I thought I got into the end of the steps, and I hadn't. So I thought I was going to be on level ground, and just as I put out my other step, I play this in my mind. I see myself going into air, right? And in slow motion, falling on my left hip. And they're very nice hardwood floor, smack. And of course, my daughter, her husband, my other granddaughter, they all rushed beside. I made a sound, and I must have screamed out, and they all rushed because they were all concerned that I would fall because I have a bad knee, and they were so concerned that, very careful. So my knee was not the problem this time, it was just a misstep. And as I lay there, in my head, I shouldn't be here on the floor. I came here for a graduation. We're supposed to fly out today. A broken hip is not in my future. It's not supposed to be happening. I must have just bruised it. So I'm lying there and I'm trying to move and get up, and shooting pain comes. But no, like I said, that's not. No, I'm just moving the wrong way. If I move the right way, I will be able to get up from the floor. By now, it's been a couple of minutes, and I can tell I'm starting to shake, a little cold, so I'm going into shock, and I tell my daughter, I need a blanket, I need a pillow, and they do that. But where I'm still trying to move, because in my head, I should not have a broken hip. So the movie that I played out is different than the reality that I had there. I was not accepting that reality. Second step, examine the expectations that you are holding. How realistic are they? How much is under your control in the moment? I mean, how much control lying there on the floor? Even though I tried to make it different, it wasn't moving in that direction. I'll give you another example. Fernando and I went to Cabos last September for his birthday. His birthday's coming up in a couple of days. And so we had gone to Cabos, and it's on the tip of Baja California. It's a beautiful resort there. We have kind of a timeshare arrangement, so we were at our resort, and it was gorgeous. And then there was the announcement that there was a hurricane coming to hit Cabo directly. Okay. So it did not hit Florida, did not hit the West Gulf Coast. It was going directly to Cabos. So the resort, they batted down everything and told us what to do. And so, we were there, and I'm thinking, a hurricane is not part of what you look for when you're on vacation, a hurricane happens at home, it doesn't happen on vacations. So it wasn't, and again, this was the last full day of vacation. So, we had to put this down, we put towels down. So it was not the way I wanted to end the vacation. But hurricanes are outside my control. I could control is how I responded to it, but the hurricane was outside. So the second step is examine your expectations. How realistic are they? How much is under control at the moment? Third step, let go of the expectations. And that sounds kind of like, okay, easy, but it's not easy. How can you let go of something? So what are you holding on to? Why is it so important? Okay, so going back to my broken hip on the ground, on the floor. The reason I was holding on to not having a broken hip, because in 2 weeks I was supposed to go to Italy for another writing workshop. And I had already paid for it. I was looking forward to it. It was a wonderful trip. There's no way I have a broken hip, because I know that changes my life. And Italy would not be part of my future. So I was trying to will my way out of a broken hip. So let go. What are you holding on to? Why is it so important? There will be another moment to go to Italy. I have to let go of that. The reality is that I'm in pain, I cannot move. It took about 10 minutes I didn't want to call the ambulances here. Because when you call 911, it's like you're accepting the reality that you have to go to the hospital. So it took me a little while to accept the reality. I tried several times to get out. Not working. So third step is, why is holding on to the expectation so important? Let it go. Number 4, replace the unmet expectations with gratitude. What gift am I missing in the moment? What have I failed to see? In the broken hip scenario, I was surrounded by family who loved me, who was caring for me. I had a fantastic 5 days at the graduation with my granddaughter. We went sightseeing. I had girlfriends come over, and I did tarot card readings, and all kinds of stuff happened before the hips. So, at that moment, I wasn't seeing that. So when I started really looking at, hey, I am surrounded by love. I can afford to go to Portland, Oregon, okay, and enjoy all the fruits of the family and the vacation. So let me look at what I have in front of me that I can be thankful for. with Los Cabos and the hurricane. I can afford to go to Mexico for a week. As a matter of fact, Fernando and I had driven from Florida to Santa Ana, California, where my daughter lives. We did a cross-country trip, and then we flew from Santa Ana Airport to Cabos. So we were gone, and we, of course, drove back. So it was a 5-week vacation. So I have the time, the money, the resources, the support to do that. Let me focus on that, not, and had a wonderful vacation. Why would should allow one measly hurricane for several hours to ruin days and weeks of beauty and fun and love? We usually do that. We see the one thing that is wrong and that defines everything instead of seeing all the wonderful things that we're missing. So step number 4 is replace those unmet expectations with gratitude. What gift am I missing in the moment? What have I failed to see? And the last step, embrace the gratitude. Look at the positive intent of the moment. Acknowledge any good that is already there. Allow yourself to experience joy instead of disappointment. So back to the broken here. Yes, I not only have the resources and the love and everything here, but, we call 911, they'll take care of me, I'll be fine. And it turns out as the medics came, these 2 nice burly guys came over, and they thought, well, I'll tell you, when they came in and I was lying on the floor, and what they do, they don't know what they're coming into, so they're assessing. They go, oh, is that a head injury? No, it's not a head injury. It's red in my hair. So they kind of, how can you know? And they were wonderful. They said, oh, you're so lucky because in Portland, in Oregon, we have 2 medics, 2, they're medical technicians per ambulance. In a lot of other places, including Florida, you have a driver and 1 medic. Here, 2 of them were, and they were so kind, and they had done this before. So they were very gentle in helping me get on my gurney. And on top of that, she says, and we can give you pain medication. I had broken my ankle. I'm good at breaking bones. I had broken my ankle 10 years ago. I'm in another place, in Rockville, Maryland. And I had been on an ambulance there, and they cannot give you any medication at all. So as you're going down, it hurts. But here, they put you in a nice little place until they drive you to and then there was, of course, a great hospital, one of the top trauma hospitals in the Pacific Northwest. So that was good. So I could embrace that I was in a good place. If I was going to break an ankle, I was not in the jungle. I was not in a country that would have less medical care, or in a part of the United States that would have less medical care. You don't have to go out of the country, so I can embrace the moment and see it. And when I decided, okay, I've accepted, I've broken hip, then I could start looking and enjoying the moments around. You have to let go of fixating on the negative and look around to see all the other things. Because as the Zen poem is, you gotta empty the cup and really fill it. It's not to let go of that negativity in order for the joy to come in. So instead of in the blue spirit thinking, hey, not only is it a beautiful place, but even if it's the same words that I'm hearing, I am still being creative. I am still writing, and I'm still writing good stuff, because we get to read it and get feedback on it. And so I decided, this is not going to let my whole week be ruined because I was disappointed that she was saying the same words over again. I'm going to embrace the joy, my creativity, the people around me, this beautiful place. Even though that was my 10th year, gone 10 years, I don't know if I'll go again. So just embrace what's really in front of you that we often fail to see. So I leave you these closing words. when we let go of judgment and control in the midst of unmet expectations, gratitude